the Desert Tiger Podcast.
All right, Ambush, we are here with award-winning singer, songwriter, and country musician, Ajaye. How is it going today, AJ?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Doing very good. Having a fantastic day. Always good to have a wonderful artist with fantastic energy on the other side of the line. So very excited for today's chat.
Amazing. I'm happy to be here.
Well, good to hear. And of course, I do want to jump into things because you released a new single recently. But before we get to that new single, I want to lay a little bit of a foundation for the fans, for the listeners here, because you've been in the music industry for quite some time as a part of a family band, going and breaking out on into your own. And in 2020, recently here, you sort of made a little bit of a shift in persona after releasing some demos as Ajaye Jardine. We moved forward as Ajaye. So what brought on sort of that shift in persona, and did it bring a little bit of a shift with energy?
That's it. That's a really good first question. That's a great way to kick things off because it's true. Like I think this year really has hit everybody in different ways. You know, it's everyone kind of went through the ringer, so to speak. And my experience has been a lot of tuning into what it is that feels good to me musically, what resonates with me, and really getting back to the core of what do I want to say as an artist and how do I want to impact the people who are listening to my music. And it came with a lot of unexpected free time to evaluate and I guess turn inwards and then just write freely. And through that process came some really beautiful friendships with people like Joni Delorier, who I wrote growing up with, and really starting to connect to what feels good and what sounds good to me. And, you know, all of the music that I've created throughout my whole life has always been different aspects of myself, but I've started to really embrace the process of life itself, that life is a journey, and such is these musical moments that we have as artists, and they're almost these different timestamps. So, you know, when you're 20, you're going to be writing and singing about different things than when you're 25, and then when you're 28, and then when you're 30 and onward. And so it felt like a really good time to create a shift, you know, just really get back to what I love most, which is songwriting. And so it has been a really cool experience to go through and then also observe within myself of, oh, I love storytelling and I love, you know, honesty. And as I look to different artists that I love listening to, I noticed that there was a common thread that, okay, they're all just telling the truth as it is, you know, because life is messy and life is confusing and it doesn't make sense. And then it does make sense. And you have these wins and these beautiful gifts. And my new direction is the attempt or the intention of, you know, embodying all that comes with life, because we're all experiencing heartbreak and wins and loss and, you know, joy. And so being able to find what it is that connects all of us and then just let people hear it is really what encompassed this whole persona shift, and really that it is just another extension of life and just who I am and what I want to say.
Wow. So a shift in persona, but also a shift in perspective, like you say, because over time we have, like you say, wins, losses and we learn from our experiences. And as we grow as people, obviously, like as artists, we grow as songwriters, we grow as well. And then, but in that time too, sometimes when you get older, you kind of become a little more retrospective, a little more reflective. So, like, at the exact same time, while growing up, reconnecting with pieces of yourself, those things that maybe along the way you lost or put down because, well, this is where the industry is going, or this is what's hot right now in music, or whatever it happens to be, because somebody told you something to do, or like, oh, you have to wait, hold on to your music for a certain date, or you have to, there's so many different factors in this industry. And it's kind of like, I really enjoy that perspective.
Oh, thank you. Well, you made a really good point about reconnecting. And I think this year was one of those few opportunities that we had the chance to reconnect to ourselves because, like you said, like there's so much happening in life, whatever part of the industry you're in, there's always people trying to tell you how you should sound, how you should dress, like what you should say, what you shouldn't say. And it can confuse you because then you think, well, if these people think I should do this, then maybe I should do this. But one thing that I've learned that I love to always like just talk with people and like remind myself especially, but reminding people that like we know what's right for us. We know what sounds good to us. And really that when it comes to career, to creative outlet, like no one knows you better than yourself. And so I think it's more of that process of, like you said, reconnecting to who you are, because we all have a very unique perspective and we all have a unique journey to take in life. And so owning that unapologetically and just embodying it in whatever way. And it goes way beyond music. It goes through, whatever kind of performance you're into. Maybe you're a teacher, maybe you're an accountant, like it doesn't matter, but it's like whatever feels good to you and resonates with you, do that, because life is short and we're here to create impact in our own way. And so connecting to what feels good to you and what allows your soul to sing is the greatest gift and the greatest thing that anyone can do with their life, I think.
Agreed. And I love the way that you put that, so that your soul can sing. Because it's like, that's very powerful statement. And like we put it earlier, wins and losses is, you should put yourself in that position where you can have a bit more wins, because happiness is finite. There is highs and lows. So you should take the opportunity to have as many of those wins as possible.
Yeah, and not be scared to look at the ugly parts of life because it's scary, but I see you nodding, you're like, yep, like it's scary, but when you kind of go to those places, because fear is one thing that I know has held me back in the past, and I think it's a very universal, it's a very real feeling. But if we can take a moment to just embody the whole gift of life and the whole gift of being here and being able to take every experience as a learning time, then just like think of how much more compassion we can all have, more empathy, more kindness. And that's really, I think and it's just my opinion, like I'm just one person at the same time, but it's like, I think if we treat others with kindness and compassion and empathy, that can have a ripple effect to a larger group of people.
Absolutely. Try and be the change you wish to see in the world, sort of that golden rule ideal, right?
Yeah, I think so. And then just knowing that it's probably not going to end up that way, but having at least the intention, like you said, to just treat others the way that you want to be treated and not have any expectation because everyone's going everyone's going through and everyone's growing up, which is, I think, the universal message that ties into the new song.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to get through one song before we get to the new song itself. And we speak about having compassion. We speak about caring for your fellow human being. And a song that you released in 2020 that I really very much enjoyed was Glorious Disaster. And I love the lyrics behind it and the energy behind it. And then when you look into like what the song's actually about with Nashville itself, where you yourself are located, having been through the tornadoes and then last year with COVID and everything else. So take us behind this song and trying to capture all of this emotion.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you to say. Yeah, I wrote this song with Joe Ernwine here in Nashville, and it also ties into the conversation we were having earlier that there's, both sides to the coin in life, and really taking the glory with the disaster, that it's like everything in life has two sides to it, and that, just seeing it all as one experience. And through that, the song it was one of those moments where we were sitting in the writing room, and we were playing the piano and kind of like throwing ideas out. And then just the idea of like, oh, like glorious disaster, like it's two opposites that somehow complement each other as well. And it embodies the messiness of everything from like trying to go after your dreams in life to falling in love to like, wanting to create a legacy for yourself to wanting to just live your life. And so that song was one of those rare moments when you're sitting there and you have this idea and the song's being written and you're there for observation. Like you're there and you're writing it down, but you're not necessarily writing the song. Like there's a energy and a muse, so to speak, that was present that day. And then it just felt right to release it as a piano vocal. And I may re-record it and get it, properly produced. But with this song, it just felt like the right time to have it with just this very acoustic, intimate, honest feeling to it.
I think that part of why I really enjoy it and why like I think that it connects with the ideal is just the rawness of the song itself, because like you say with disasters and like sometimes you need lows in order to appreciate the highs, because if all we have is highs, how do we understand what good moments are and how do we like delineate the difference between the two of them? And then it sort of too is like the rawness of a storm where there's so much terror, there's so much otherwise, but at the exact same time, there's almost like a beauty to watching a storm where some people will watch like thunder and lightning, and you have people who literally chase tornadoes because there is a beauty to watching this sort of a thing going around. And once again, there is disaster that comes through it, but it sort of helps you to appreciate the times that there is like, peace, right?
Absolutely. And even to add to that too, being in a city where this was the first time I had experienced a tornado. Like there's been tornado warnings, but I've never experienced something like that. Growing up on the west coast of Canada, there's no tornadoes there. And so through this destruction that I saw, there was such a beauty to the community of this town and of this county and of the state itself, of people out with chainsaws, like, cutting trees down, bringing food supplies and being a part of that was really beautiful to see. Like even through destruction, even through all like houses torn down and roofs thrown off, like people were showing up and we were showing up and helping in any way we could, even if it was just bringing lunch and water bottles to an elderly couple that had no power. And so being able to be a part of that and observe, the kindness of humans and the community in this town was really beautiful, and that there is the ability to rebuild and and regrow from something that was just not, it was just awful. But there was still a blessing and still people coming together to try to help.
Hmm. Yeah, that idea of community coming together, and it's, you say, like, as simple as a water bottle and a sandwich, but for somebody who has so many worries going on, that just like little peace of mind is like, okay, well, I don't have to solve lunch. I don't have to solve lunch today, so at least like that's one problem off of my plate. Like, it doesn't seem like much, but like that's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome. So we rebuild, we move forward, and of course, you move forward as an artist. And you mentioned earlier connecting with one Joni Delorier, and you have also connected with Reluctant Cowboy Music going forward here for your next single. So, what has it been like to connect with the team there at Reluctant Cowboy, and sort of take us into how that leads into this new single, Growing Up?
Absolutely. Troy and Joni are awesome, awesome human beings. And Joni and I had plans to write in Nashville during one of her trips, but then when the pandemic hit, everything got canceled. So we decided, hey, let's try writing on Zoom, because that was the only way that we could stay creative. And we had known each other through mutual friends and had seen each other at different events over the years, but hadn't had the chance to actually sit down and write. And so when we sat down for the first time, we instantly hit it off on like our love of food, our love of music, like the same artists and songwriters. We just had a lot in common. And so our friendship and our writing relationship started from a place of just writing songs that feel good and that say something and that are honest and are exactly that, just pure honesty and with the intention of storytelling. And so when we wrote Growing Up, it was another one of those songs that it was like, I kind of had this idea, and Joni just has this amazing talent about her and heart and kindness. And so we were just really able to fully embody this universal message of growing up, that, we all grow up and we don't stop growing up. And that's a very real thing that happens throughout our entire lives, no matter if you're 5 years old, if you're 45, if you're 95, like we're all learning more about ourselves every day. And so we'd written that song and then have continued writing as well. And then Troy heard Growing Up and then had reached out and said, hey, do you want to release something together? And I was like, heck yes, like let's do it. And then so Growing Up was born, and it was just released into the world. And I'm very proud of the song that we've written and how it turned out, and that people are enjoying it. And I'm playing it live. People are listening to it online, and it feels really good.
Wow, awesome. And once again, I love that it sort of brings it back to that idea that we mentioned earlier of growing up as a human being and as a songwriter. And sometimes as human beings, when you're 18, you think you know so much about the world. And like, I've already got this in my pocket. I've got 18 years of life in my experience. What else could I possibly have to learn? And like, even as children, we grow up thinking like our parents know everything, right? And then you grow up and you realize, okay, my parents are still learning in their 50s, their 60s, and like they were just like basically like they had me convinced, like had us hoodwinked the whole time, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think there's a freedom that comes with realizing that no one really knows no one knows what they're doing. No one knows what the right thing is to do. And so it's like, it just comes down to actually, well, I'll just say like growing up has been a very humbling experience because similar to what you said, when you're 18, you think, oh, I'm done high school, like, just like clap my hands and I'm just going to ride out the next however many years, like 70, 80 years or whatever. And then you realize, oh, I don't know anything or I don't know what I don't know. And then you kind of go through this process of realizing that the work is never done. The learning is never done. When I was in college, I had a theater professor who would say that. And at 22, I was like, I don't believe you. Like, I don't. And then of course I got hit with Saturn return at, any of the people into astrology will know what I'm talking about. But yeah, when you hit kind of 27, 28, then you're like, oh, I don't know anything. And so I'm just gonna take a minute and realize that there is much to work on and much to learn and much to grow.
Hmm. Still lots of watering to be done, still lots of growth to move forward. So you mentioned that 22-year-old in a university class. I mentioned an 18-year-old coming out of high school. So if you could give a message back to that younger Ajaye, what would that message be? What would be the main idea that you would try and tell your younger self?
Oh, that's a really good question. Like, how much time do you have really? It's the- well, well,
Long
no,
form.
yeah. I mean, so that is a really interesting question because, I've definitely had moments where I think back and it's like, man, if only I knew then what I know now, like imagine where I would be. But at the same time, I do believe that things in our life happen at the moment when you're ready. So, would I go back and tell myself, you should do this or you should do that or don't listen to this person or, fill in the blank of whatever that is. But at the same time, I probably wouldn't be who I am today. It's almost that like butterfly effect. And, it's like one small change can, alter a whole trajectory. And I'm proud of all of the lessons that I've learned and continuing on this artistic journey and everything. So I don't think I would go back and tell my younger self anything, only because of the lessons that I learned, that I learned how to be grateful, and I've learned how to appreciate the present moment and really take in every moment as an experience and as a learning lesson. And I think that, but also I could be wrong. And I think knowing that like maybe something would have turned out differently, but also we are here, we are now, and embrace it.
Wow. Ooh, I really, really enjoy that because I feel the exact same way. As like,
Yeah, what would you tell your past self? Like would you tell them anything?
no, it's like, even though like every single low that I've been through, no matter what they were or how long they lasted or like how they affected me, it put me right here in this moment. And I am happy in this moment and I am proud of this moment of who I am. And it's like, for anything to change the fact that like I can chase my dreams, I'm happy with all of it. I honestly, I don't think it's the exact same thing where I don't think I could go back and tell myself something to change because I don't want to change who I am today. So,
I love that. Man, that's awesome. Yeah, it's true though. It is absolutely true.
hmm, it's a beautiful feeling. So I'm glad that you have reached this point of life where these lessons, this understanding, this time has taught you these very important pieces of life.
Yes, absolutely. Well, even in like the first line of growing up, like one day you'll be the drunk girl in the bathroom and the next you'll be the one trying to be your friend. Like we may not have been the drunk girl in the bathroom, but we know her and we love her. And, you know, I've definitely been her in the past and, you know, maybe you've been the drunk guy in the bathroom or like whatever that is. And it's just that reminder that, yeah, you'll have a low one day, but you know, someone else will have that low the next day and that you never know what people are going through in their life.
Mhm. Absolutely. We're all just still growing up, as you say.
We are growing up.
Awesome, awesome. So I would like to know, how do we grow into the future after this single? What does the rest of 2021 hold for AJ?
Yes, well, that is also another really great question. I have a video that is going to be coming out soon. I have a very talented illustrator named Marley Allen Ash who has animated a music video for Growing Up. And so we are in the process of getting ready to release that probably in a month or two and then working on new music. So I had the gift of time this past year with no shows and really not a lot going on. And so I have a number of songs that I've written that I'm getting excited to record and working towards releasing more music and more videos and more content that, and I'm not a fan of the word content, but I think it's the only word that we can really use, at least right now, but just uh, more stuff, more good stuff online to, that just supports everything that we talked about today.
More ways to connect, I think, is a nice way to put it. Because I also hate the word content because it makes you feel like a machine. And it's like, yes, it's the music business, it's the music industry, but it's like, I'm not a business all the time. I am a human being, right?
Yes, more connection to let your soul sing.
Yes, exactly. As everybody should.
We combined the two ideas. I love that.
Awesome. Awesome. Combining it together, and you've been able to combine the live music experience with your fans as well recently, which is very exciting. So, what has it been like to get back on stage to present this new music to the listener?
It has been like nothing else. It feels really good to be performing live again. And, you know, there's so much uncertainty happening right now. And so every day I get the opportunity to go on stage and just meet new people and sing songs and bring joy to them is a day fulfilled. And while I have live music, I also have a Patreon that I've been doing personalized songs. And so for people who join as a music lover or a soul connect, they get a song that's personalized. So I reach out and figure out who or what they want the song to be about. And then I write, I record it, and I include a dedication message. And so we started that with Valentine's Day and people really resonated with that. So I'm continuing that process. So while the on-stage stuff is happening, I'm also building my community where I get to really know people who are a part of the Patreon and being able to give them something that they can then give to their loved one or to themselves or, you know, help them through a breakup or help them celebrate an anniversary or Mother's Day or whatever it is that the person would like the song to be about.
Lovely, lovely. Sort of adding that extra elements to the fan, like you said, building that community, because we talked about the importance of community, and it definitely helps you to continue to go on, to continue to grow. So how long have you been doing the Patreon, and like, what is it like to sort of like keep it going? Because like you say, writing personal songs, doing performance videos, like a lot that you're giving to these people for like a pretty low price. So what is it like to balance all of it as well?
Yeah, it's great. So I do a monthly live stream where I hop on a private live stream with my patrons, and I share 3 new songs that aren't released. So it's a great way if if people resonate with the kind of music that I'm releasing and what I'm about. It's another way to get to know songs that I'm working on, songs that maybe I wrote years ago that I'm coming back to, songs that I'm writing on my own. As well, I'm releasing acoustic demos once a month where it feels very fulfilling because I get to share stories with people that resonate with what it is that I love to do, which is storytell and is connecting and building community. And so it's been a great balance between performing live and songwriting and then just being able to give and share and enjoy getting to know people who are part of the Patreon.
Ooh. Well, if anybody sounds interested in that, they should definitely go ahead and subscribe. And I have definitely had a blast getting to know you a bit better here, getting to know some of these lessons that you have learned over the last couple of years. So thank you so much, Ajaye, for joining us here today on the Desert Tiger Podcast.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun today getting to know you.